November 7th, 2022. I don't know how to say these things anymore. You're listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Don.
And we're back. We weren't here last week because of Halloween.
Everybody's favorite holiday.
The Wiener.
After Clint.
And, I ended up giving candy away. The kids that came to the house. I set a table up at the end of my driveway, and I put down a selection of full-size candy bars. And kids can choose whatever it is they want. And I did hear some remarks, though, that a lot of houses were doing that this year. So I'm going to have to up my game next year. I'm going to have to go bigger somehow without breaking the bank. I'll figure something out. I had about 83 kids. And figure it's not $1 a candy bar. It's about 75 cents a candy bar. So I'm probably paying around $50-$60 or something to feed the neighborhood. But I mean, while that's a lot, at the same time, it's kind of like, I mean, think about what you spend on people on Christmas time,
Right.
Like even Thanksgiving when you buy all the food and everything. So comparatively spending a little bit of money on a holiday. Plus I know people that buy costumes, which I don't, and spend a fortune, So I can spend a little on the candy since I'm enjoying. I like to see the kids light up when they get a big candy bar. It's, makes me feel good that they got some. A lot of kids are rude though. I just want to point that out. Yeah. I don't care. Like I'm not somebody that's going to be like, but it's like some kids just take the candy, don't even say thank you and walk away. It's like, really? Right. Like you can't just say thank you or thanks. Just say thanks, say something like, exactly.
Just give me a grunt. Give me something.
It's just, I mean, maybe if you're playing a role, maybe if you're playing like Michael Myers who never talks and you're in a Michael Myers mask. Okay. I get it.
That's acceptable.
You could kind of tilt your head at me, take the candy bar and walk away.
Right.
Fine. Right.
I would applaud that.
But, and then it's like, I also had these ones where like there's like the kids came up, a little bit older kids, like middle school kids or something, each take a candy. And then the mom is with them and the mom says, thank you. And the kids don't. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Really? You can't teach your kids to say thank you?
No.
Really? I
don't tell you, that's how it is. That's how it is nowadays. The parents are like, my child doesn't have to do anything. I'll do it for him. Get out of here. Well, then you can take this ass whooping.
So here's something that's well, let me ask you first. What'd you do on Halloween?
On Halloween?
Yeah.
Nothing. Night before Halloween, I went and saw Hatebreed.
How was that?
So that was all right. It was a good time. I got to run into the usual crowd.
Yeah, I saw some pictures.
Yeah, Oz was there and Bailey and Dan and yada.
Listen, Hatebreed's all right, but would everybody go if Frank wasn't in the band? I don't think so.
Probably not.
Right. I mean, I think
because it's also like a go see Frank kind of thing.
Right.
Because they go to the bar beforehand, and then he shows up. And he hangs out with everybody, and he's visiting.
Okay, yeah.
But then he goes and does the show. So some of the people go. Like Mole didn't go to the show, but he came up there.
Typical Mole.
Yeah,
I'm going to support you, but I'll show up in case somebody buys me a beer.
Right. But it was kind of funny because we were at this bar. It was like on 18th Street, and the Agora is on 55th. And so Dan, like I got you. All right, you've been around long enough to know. Whenever anything's going down, and me and Oz are there, me and him are riding together. That's just it. Oz always knows that he's got to ride with me. And if anybody asks me if they can have a ride, it's always like, hold on a second, we got to go check with Oz first, because that's how we do it. I've always got him, and he's always
right on.
That way it's not difficult. You don't get stuck with somebody. You don't right. I mean? It's always cool. It's like, okay, we like each other. So he's like, I asked him when I got there. I was like, hey man, because he's like, hey, I got your ticket. I was like, cool. I'll drive you down there, right? I'm looking at him like, I'm assuming I'm driving you down there. And he's like, yeah, cool. I was like, all right, sweet. So we're hanging out, we're doing all this stuff. Dan comes walking up to me like towards when we were getting ready to leave. And Dan comes up and he goes, hey man, you got room for me in your car? Like, what kind of car do you drive? And that's one of them questions where you're like, well, I don't want to answer the question because he's gonna be like, oh, a 4-door, sure, you can fit me,
could squeeze you in. Yep.
Yeah, and maybe I just don't want you in the car with me. I don't know.
So it's known these people for like fucking 40 years and shit, and still fucking they're like,
still,
like,
it's just
you're not getting in my car.
You know how my car is. There's always a mess. It's like I gotta move everything in the back.
That guy, he puts you on blast all the time. No, I get it.
Didn't even invite me to his wedding.
Right.
So it's like everybody else got, and then bragged about it in front of everybody. It's like, I can't wait till the wedding this Saturday, everybody. Oh, sorry, Donnie, I couldn't invite you. Like, oh, appreciate it. He's like, but you can come after the dinner. Nice. And that's supposed to be nice to him, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever. I mean, he's there. Debbie was there, his sister. Haven't seen her in a long time,
Right.
His nephew and all that stuff. Anyways, so he comes up to me and he's like, hey man, you got room for me in your car? What kind of car you driving? I was like, well, I'm driving a Ford Focus, but it's pretty full. But I'm pretty sure I could. And listen, between you and me, Dan, I don't know if you've seen Dan lately.
He's getting a lot.
He's got. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just
I'm
like,
not sure really
wow.
what's up with that. Like, I don't know why.
Like a thyroid thing or something. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with him.
Right, because
there's something going on.
Like, yeah.
Anyways, so he goes, "You got room for me?" I said, "Yeah." I go, "Yeah." I was like, "Sure, man. It's, what's the big deal? I can give you a ride down there. You, me, and Oz." And he goes, and he looks at me. He goes, "Cool. There's 4 of us." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he goes, "There's 4 of us." And I go, "What do you mean there's 4 of us?" He goes, "There's me and 3 other people." And I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, 4 people need a ride down there. I go, "I'm not fitting 4 people into the back seat of my car."
Right.
What are you talking about? I go, you just came up to me and asked me, "Hey, can I get a ride to the Agora?"
Right.
Which means 1 person.
Right.
And then I say, "Yeah, sure, I'll give you a ride." And you turn around, you're gonna be like, "Okay, there's 4 of us."
Right.
Like where am I supposed to put you? Like, where am I supposed to put 4 people in my car? I've already got me and Oz. He's like, "Well, I'll sit in the trunk." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm going to drive downtown with you sticking out of the back of my trunk. That's a great idea. Let's do that." And I go, "No." I said, "I could take you. I could take 1 person." He goes, "Oh, don't worry about it. I can walk." I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Okay, whatever, whatever you want to do." He goes, "Can you give my sister a ride?" I go, "Sure." I goes, "It's just her?" He goes, "Yeah." I was like, "All right, cool." I was like, "Sure, I'll give Debbie a ride. I don't care,
Sure.
He's like, "Yeah." Huh?
Yeah, no. So it's yeah. Sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I was like, "I'll give Debbie a ride. She's a girl, I'll help her out and be a good guy. You know what I mean? It's all good. Yeah, she can get in there." He's like, "All right, cool, thanks." And then his buddy comes up to him and goes, "Hey man, Uber's going to be here in 10 minutes for us." Dan's like, "What?" He's like, I ordered an Uber." He goes, "I got somebody coming. He's going to pick us up. He's going to drive us down there." And Dan starts yelling at him. He's like, arguing with him. Like, "I ain't getting in no Uber. I'll walk." And it's like, dude, you're going to walk 30 blocks, to the Agora when your buddy has got a car coming to pick you up to drive you. And he's like, "I'm just going to walk. I'm not getting in no Uber. Those are stupid. This is dumb." It's just like, what? It's like, what's going on here? So I'm like, "Debbie, you're coming with me, right?" She goes, "Yep, I'm coming with you." I was like, "All right, cool." I said, and then we were all leaving. I said, "I'm going to head out to the car, push stuff off the seat so she could sit down." I mean, because I just I left the house. I dropped Sophie off. I went to the store. I took Sophie home. I went downtown to go to the show. So it's like, I got a loaf of bread in the back. I got some pizza crust on a plate because I was eating on the road, like dropping Sophie off. I was in a hurry, so I took some pizza with me. It's like I got groceries back there and stuff. So I'm pushing stuff over to the side. I turn around. Oz comes around to the passenger side. He's going to get in. And I turn around. I see Debbie and her nephew. And he's like, he looks in. He goes, "Is there room for me?" And I go, "I didn't know anybody else was coming." And he's like, "Oh yeah, Dan said you could take the 2 of us." And I just started shaking my head. I was like, what is going on around here? Like, how hard is it? You know what I mean? It's like, I told you specifically, I'll take 1 person. It's like, I got stuff in my car. I was like, "Whatever, man." I'm like, "Yeah, just go ahead and jump in." So needless to say, he jumps in, she jumps in. My bread got squashed. There's pizza crust everywhere. I was like, "Mom, I just bought a loaf of bread," and it's like, it's like, I'm like, this is getting to be stupid, but whatever. So I drove him down there. Debbie gave me $5 to pay for parking and stuff. I was like, that's cool. I appreciate that.
How is she looking? Does she look the same as she did in like the 90s?
Same, yeah, same Debbie.
You know,
same thing. Just sitting there like, hey, man. You know,
that's a good thing she doesn't have Dan's thyroid problem.
Looking like a skinny female Carrot Top. How about that? You know, without all muscles. But yeah, it was all right. I put my dude. Yeah, it was good. It was a good time.
Cool.
You're all right.
That's cool. Wasp Saturday.
I know, right? I just looked at the set list.
Oh, you know what it is?
Yeah.
I saw that they play Blind in Texas. That's all I know. But I mean, there's some things that he's going to play that are just obvious, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
I've heard there's some lip syncing going on, but I watched the video.
Nice.
It looked all right. I mean, but I can't expect the guy to 66 years old to belt it out perfectly for every song. If they want to throw a little overdub on there, I'd rather hear it a little more accurate than it sounding like some guy that smoked like 2 packs a day for 50 years, you know?
I wish Don Dockett would use some back
right, you know?
Oh, my God.
I'll always knock it, but it's like, if you ain't got the voice anymore, please just go ahead and, stop for sure. But if you're not going to, use a little backing vocals, please. Just come on, you know?
You see a guy like Steve Perry from Journey who stepped back and eventually had that problem with his throat and stuff. And he goes, you know what? I can't sing like I used to. I'm not going to do it. And it's like, I appreciate that, Steve Perry.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't want to see you coming out here trying to tell me about the wheel in the sky and make my ears bleed.
Lucky Lawless would be hard to replace as a singer too. Like nobody sings
so unique.
Yes, nobody sings like that guy. I'm not saying it's good. I mean it is, but it's not
right.
But it's not like some
its own
great
instrument
singer
in the song.
voice or anything. Right. It works with the song.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of thing. But and we'll see Armored Saint. I mean, I know like 2 songs from Armored Saint.
It's 2 more than I know.
My brother will be into it. The rest of us will just be sitting there like...
You're right. I'm going to be walking around during Armored Saint, and then I'm going to be like, this is just the Agora. There isn't many places to go walking around in.
Hopefully you'll find people to talk to that you know.
Yeah.
Bullshit with them and stuff. That's, you know, what are you going to do?
Hey, I'm not complaining. I'll go see Wasp.
Yeah. No, for sure. Right.
That's where it all began, at the Agora.
It's just back when we were young, we'd see Wasp. Wasp, King Diamond. That was kind of a thing.
Yeah. Testament.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of bands, you know.
Yeah, no, we could sit and go on.
Yeah.
So Sabotage there. Anyways.
Yeah. That's the one thing too, is like, you know, we kept looking at those flyers, you know, they kept posting.
Right.
I was just surprised how many times Sabotage actually came there, you know?
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, like, wasn't it that one? It's like a band I like, and I could just be like, didn't go to that. Didn't go to that one either.
Seriously?
Didn't go to this one. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Friends of mine that you may have met. I'm not going to mention their names. So,
then I'll never know.
Well, right.
I know. I'm just kidding.
No, a couple female friends that I met from Fairview. Right.
Okay.
And back in the high school days.
Oh, right.
And the one's daughter, pretty girl, right? She graduated high school. I don't think she was homecoming queen or whatever it is, or prom queen, but like she was in the court, you know, with her boyfriend, you know, and I mean, a nice looking couple, I guess, whatever, they're kids, but you know, when you're friends with people on Facebook and they've got kids, they're posting photos of them all the time. Yeah. And sometimes some people you got to hide, Randy, and because you can't handle it. But then other people, it's just kind of normal and stuff. And I've noticed it since we were kids, right? That some parents, it's not just like senior pictures anymore, right? Like senior pictures was kind of like you go and you would be maybe like a suit and a tie as a guy. And you'd get some headshots taken, which would end up in the yearbook. And maybe they would kind of jazz it up. You bring your guitar, you bring, you know, some musical instrument. Like I brought a keyboard, even though I didn't play one. So if you were into tennis, let's say, you'd bring your tennis racket or your football, and those are just kind of like stupid little action shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it would all be in the same studio, right? Now it's like parents hire like a professional photographer, and they go to like a warehouse or something.
Location.
Yes, a location, and take shots all kinds of crazy way. I mean, it's like professional modeling, really. And that has nothing to do with this story, but except that she had those kinds of photos, and and I would just be like, boy, things have changed since I was, like kids have even more now than they don't just have excess of the things that we had, but they also have more things that we didn't have, and it's like it's crazy to me. But anyway. So, I don't know. School ended, right? So this is a whole new year right now. So like 3 months ago, I think it was about 3 months ago, the daughter, right, got into a car accident. And the boyfriend was in the car in the front seat, as was a friend of theirs, I guess, another male in the back seat. The girl had... it was in Strongsville, had gone across this, I think it was like exited Transportation Boulevard, based on what I read, by the way. But everything I'm telling you is secondhand, just so everybody knows.
Hearsay.
Well, off the news clippings, but you might as well call it hearsay because it's coming from my memory. So it's not always accurate.
This is Baird say.
Right. But she had driven across the street, threw a sign, and smashed into a building.
Nice. I mean, not nice, but...
No, right. And it must have happened late, they think, at night, and they found them at around 6 a.m. Both boys were dead, and the girl had to get life-flighted out of there. So, kind of terrible, right? Obviously.
Wait, Transportation Boulevard?
Something like that. Not Transportation downtown. Like
it's
like you know what? I get it wrong. It's Progress, because that's where their Strongsville has their industrial whatever you want to call it, commercial stuff, and it's called Progress. And the reason I always remember the name of that is because Cease worked at Don Cease worked at a plastic injection molding company on Progress, and he was at the end of it. The end of the road. And he goes, that's the slogan for the company. He's like Van Doren, where progress ends. I thought it was a funny joke. So that's why I remember Progress. So anyway, apparently, but again, going off memory, that could be also really wrong. So she gets life flight away. Surgeries, everything, eventually gets out, walking, everything. Yeah. And, so this weekend she gets arrested.
Nice.
For
also not nice. Sorry.
Right. For the for the accident. Right. Yeah. And I'll tell you exactly what it was. What it was for. Because it was
failure to control your vehicle.
Right. So failure. Right. That's what you'd think. Right. That's what you'd think. Like that's what I would think. I would think, okay, or maybe some, DUI, maybe something happened, right? Something intoxicated while driving. So here we go. All right. Counts 1 and 2, aggravated murder.
Oh.
This is for the July car accident. So it's July. Counts 3, 4, 5, and 6, murder. Counts 7, 8, 9, and 10, felonious assault. Counts 11 and 12, aggravated vehicular homicide. Count 13, trafficking. Count 14, drug possession. Count 15, possessing criminal tools. And count 16, breaking and entering.
Wait a minute.
So the breaking and entering, I'll just say, I don't know what that's about, except, and this is from Channel 19.
Yeah.
So, but this is not from the accident. This is from something that happened earlier. There was a break-in at a church on Root Road in Columbia Station.
Hey, that's by me.
Well, there you go. Columbia Church of God on Root Road, Columbia Station.
No.
The possession of criminal tools, digital scale. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The drug possession, what do you think it is?
Marijuana. But it's probably going to be like crack cocaine or something stupid.
Psilocybin, magic mushrooms.
Look at that. That's
trafficking,
shit.
Magic mushrooms as well. Right? Okay. Now,
well,
that's what they got.
Yeah, I mean, if it's in separate baggies.
But here's the thing. Here's the one thing, though, right? Like, that I found a little bit interesting about this is that everything I just read to you, none of it was a DUI type charge, driving under the influence of some narcotic or whatever. Nothing in this is about her having anything in her system, you know? So I'm assuming she must have. I don't know if it was because some of the rumor mill that goes with these things that you find on Facebook from the city, there's like 500 responses. Right. We'll be sitting there saying like, you know, she smoked some kind of laced weed, you know, and made the wrong decision getting in the car and killed those guys because she decided to drive when she was intoxicated. Yeah. But here, again, there's no charge for her being intoxicated, right? So that's kind of weird because if you're going to go to court, you're going to have to tell the jury that she was intoxicated, right?
But you don't.
But you're not actually charging her for that. So you don't actually have evidence of that. You don't have proof of that, apparently, because you would have charged her for that if you had evidence or proof of that.
Unless when they got her, they gave her a blood test or something.
But they didn't charge her for it. I mean, they would have charged her for it. So,
I see what you're saying.
So since they didn't, they don't have that evidence. So that's weird. That's just weird to me. Like, I get that maybe too much time had passed. Plus, if she was on mushrooms, I don't know what kind of test they give you for that, right? Like, I don't think Strongsville police, just your average police, drive around with some sort of psilocybin test in their cars.
No, but trust me, if somebody's on mushrooms, you can tell by looking.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but she was unconscious. She was barely breathing. I mean, so they weren't, you know, they weren't giving her any kind of roadside test.
Well, that's kind of strange.
Yeah, right. So I mean, but the hospital must have run tests, right? But maybe they weren't looking for that. They were probably just trying to keep her alive. Maybe that went by. But that's interesting.
Maybe if she got like a lawyer involved, maybe the lawyer was like, okay, I'll tell you what, why don't you charge us for this and this, but forget this one.
It does seem like they're not expecting it to go to court to me, like what you're saying. It seems like they put up these big charges on there so it pleads down. So she gets busted on like a manslaughter charge or something and goes in for less. But the thing is that I mean, I know that occasionally this kind of thing happens where there's an accident because somebody's driving drunk and somebody gets killed, and sometimes the driver goes to jail for a while, but it's kind of rare, and it's really rare that you're going to do it to a 17-year-old girl who's 18 now.
Right.
Like I could get manslaughter. I could get involuntary manslaughter. She didn't intend to do it, right?
Yeah.
And she, you know, fucked up and these people died. I mean, it's a boyfriend fucking died. You know what I mean? I'm sure she's torn up about it. Unless they got some sort of audio recording where she's like, I'm going to kill these motherfuckers tonight. You know? She's like, I'm driving. I got my seatbelt on. I'm driving full speed into that building. You know? I mean, right. So it's like, it seems weird to me, man. Aggravated murder. I mean, do you really want to go to court and try to convince a jury? Now, again, I don't have all the evidence. Some of this is speculation, right? Like I said, I don't know if there's recordings and all this other shit. But based on just her, like, let's say the rumor mill's true, based on her, you know, having some puffs of a pipe and then driving, you know, do you really want to have a 17-year-old girl on the stand and have a jury unanimously try to convict her? I mean, no, I don't think they would. I wouldn't convict her. How many people you could sit there and say like, well, she broke the law. Yeah. But how many people have driven, a little fucked up in their life? You know what I mean? I mean, everybody has. It's crazy to think that you're going to have, she just ran into a bad fucking, now, if she drove on mushrooms, she'd fucking know better, but she's 17, so maybe she didn't know.
Probably a terrible driver as it is.
The other thing is, and part of that, right, part of that is the two boys are in the car. I've been in cars, you've been in cars. We've been in cars with girls driving. And if they start rolling across the street, the first thing you're doing is grabbing the steering wheel. You know what I mean? You're like, what the fuck are you doing? And you're not going to let them slam you into a, you know what I mean? Like if she's passing out or I don't know what I'm doing or something, you're going to be like, stop the fucking car. You know what I mean? Like you're not just going to sit there and drive it into, it's crazy.
Slapping her. Come on, wake up. Hit the brake.
Yeah, I mean, if it happened super fast, okay. Like, she's just racing down the road and was, goes airborne and shit into the... Okay, all right, yeah. But even then, I'd be like, even you, dude, you'd be like, hey, man, like with your casual stuff, you'd be like, you want to slow down?
Yeah.
I can just see you say that. Exactly,
Hey, are you paying attention here?
It could be buzzing and you'd still say that shit. Like, we got like, hey, that's slow down. But that's why we're still, we're all still alive, even we've done dumb shit. I just feel like, I mean, I feel bad for it. And, she was,
of course,
she was arraigned or she was arrested just this weekend. She went in, they had the formal charges. And that's what's on 19 News. And then there's going to be another arraignment and they're keeping her, in jail until the 24th or something. It's like that poor little girl, man. She's going to be in fucking jail, for a month. And I know.
Missing school.
These fucking two dudes are dead, and it's terrible.
Right.
But you can't do anything about them. You can't reverse time. They're already gone. It's going to be a tragedy if this poor girl's life is ruined over this fucking mistake. And I'm sure she already feels fucking horrible. And, people try to go online and they're just like, yeah, she dressed up like, a bottle of alcohol and weed or something for Halloween last year or some shit. Or she went to Cedar Point and she's laughing and having fun or whatever. And I mean, I get all that, but it's like, she's still young, man. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't sunk in. You know what I mean? Like you don't have that level of maturity right now. You just no. It's not all there. Anyway, listen. I feel bad for the parents and everything. And if they come out and there's some like audio recordings where she's talking on the phone or something and she's all like, "I'm glad those fuckers are dead." Well, then I'm going to be like, "Yeah, throw her away, lock her up."
Right.
She's obviously a sicko murder person. But I just don't think that's what it is. I just think this was a fucking teenage accident, man. These things happen all the time. And the idea that the cops are trying to make listen, I'm not saying sweep it under the rug, right? If she did something wrong, just like you were saying in the beginning, reckless operation, driving under the influence is bad. You can go to jail for a week or something on that kind of a charge, right? There's all kinds of things you can get. But murder, man, aggravated fucking murder. I mean, that's right. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. It's crazy.
She hasn't even gone to prom yet.
I mean, no, she did. She's already graduated. She's done.
Oh,
yeah. She's 18 now, but this murder happened when she was 17 in July. So she just had her birthday not that long ago.
Oh,
so she was done with school, but still, I mean, the thing is, it's like I mean, plus it's like. She's with her boyfriend. There's peer pressure and shit involved. It's like girls aren't usually the ringleaders of these kinds of things. I mean, occasionally they are, like that crazy Colombian woman down in Florida or whatever her name was. But I mean, most of the time it's guys are, pressuring and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm not blaming the boy. I'm not saying the boyfriend and stuff did that. I'm just saying, like, it's hard to believe, like, she's some sort of... criminal tools, breaking and entering, vehicular homicide. I mean,
a real queen of the South,
right? Just doing stuff like I feel like it's. But everybody has opinions, and I feel bad for all the families, everybody. I mean, your kids are gone, all three of them. All three families. They're all dealing with a tragedy here that's freaking horrible, and I just but I just find this to be extreme. I guess that's what my problem is with it, because I could just see myself in this situation. I could see you in this situation. I mean, shit. We knew Dave Bates. He's lucky he wasn't in that situation.
Right.
Kevin Rahm, same way. Like all of these guys we know, it could have been anybody making something done. Hell, we knew that guy Dave, sort of, that Bailey was friends with. He drove drunk, and he died, right? Yeah. But there's a guy that drove drunk, and he fucking burned himself up. Apparently, that's horrible. But
right,
it's
all for drinking, because he was already out drinking. And then they were like, "All right, we're all done. Let's go home." They sent him home, and he was like, "I need another drink." And it was like,
right,
came home just for that one fucking drink. Idiot.
Right, man. I don't know, man. People can't stop. I don't know. That kind of shit's fucked up. I don't get it. I don't know.
You don't know what it's like. You don't know how hard it is to need a drink every day.
No, I can appreciate a little bit of that, but I think it's more than that, because you're there's an ego or something involved there, because you're like, fuck it, I can drive. You know what I mean? I can get drunk and I know, I just be like, I ain't driving. You know what I mean? I'm fucked up. I ain't driving the fuck. Are you kidding? I'll never get home. You know what I mean? Right. But then there's other people, maybe like Dave or Bates or something, that are just like,
Oz.
Yeah, they're like, fuck that, I'm going. And it's like, dude, really? It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, is we've been desensitized, because we know Oz, and Oz is not an alcoholic drunk like you would see, people who are like, I gotta get a drink, and they're always drunk, but he drinks a lot.
Yeah,
and he always drinks, but he's always I saw him at Walmart the other day. Me and Sophie went to Walmart, and Oz came walking around the corner, and he's pushing a shopping cart, and he's going shopping.
Right.
He's like, hey, what's up? And I was like, not much. What's going on? And it's like, he hasn't been drinking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like he's not like a 24-hour drunk.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But when he does drink, he drinks a lot, but he's not.
Right.
So it's like we're kind of desensitized to it, because we're like, well, look at Oz, he can do it.
Right. Well, I mean, Larry, that dude, he's the same way too. He just drinks constantly. I mean, we know a lot of people like that.
Well, everybody we know pretty much drinks, except for me.
Pretty much, yeah. Me and you are pretty much not the alcoholics in the group. Everybody else we know is borderline or worse.
Yeah, not anymore, anyways.
Hey, when you do drive Oz, do you guys actually talk in the car, or do you just play some tunes?
Oh yeah, no, we have a great time.
Oh, all right.
Dude, you should have heard the one conversation. It was awesome. We were talking about a mutual friend. I don't want to say a name, but a mutual friend, speaking of drunks. We were talking about his wife.
Oh, yeah.
How pretentious she is. and it's just funny. He's just listing people. He's like, there was this one time at the bar where James was going off about her, and he for an hour just ranted about how, irritating and annoying and all this stuff. And it's just like, wow, I'm not the only one.
Right. Yeah. No, I know who you're talking about. No, I was just curious, because, he can sometimes be a man of few words,
Yeah, no.
And you can sometimes be pretty quiet too. So I just see you guys both driving and not saying anything, but that's cool. I mean, you guys used to be roommates or whatever, so you used to talking to each other too.
Yeah, and we used to spend I would get up in the morning and I would go and pick him up, and we would just drive around all day.
Right on.
And there would be tons of lulls. There would be tons of times where it was just not saying a word.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And then he would just start laughing. He'd start laughing. I'd be like, what? He'd be like, I don't know. It's just quiet in here. We haven't said nothing to each other. We're just sitting here jamming tunes. He's like, it's just funny that we don't seem to need to talk to each other.
Right.
It's like, we don't really. I mean,
right.
Yeah. We're not trying to waste each other's time.
No, that's cool.
But yeah, we have a great conversations, me and him. I love it.
Yeah. No, that's Oz. I'm cool with Oz. I like hanging out with Oz. I like to catch movies with him. Can talk to him, everything. He's a cool dude. I just, sometimes some of the things he does gets on my nerves. So I can't handle, like, I can handle you, like, just like when we went to New York, like, I can handle you for days. Like, you and I can, like, just whatever. But dude, like, I can handle Oz for 8 hours, 10 hours or something. But if you gave me Oz for days, at some point I'm going to be really irritated.
At some point you're going to be like, shut the music off and turn the sound on the TV up so I can hear what they're talking about.
Right. It's just going to hate something I like something I hate. And it's just, but he's real stubborn about those sorts of things. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I know what you're saying. Because that's what you like the other day. He was just like, somebody played Bon Jovi on the jukebox and he's just like, I hate Bon Jovi, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like looking at him. I'm like, I'm not a big Bon Jovi fan. I don't feel the need to tell everybody this. Right. Right. I don't need to. Yeah, I don't feel like I have to scream it at the top of my lungs.
Right.
That like it's just, and it's like you think like once you get older, like we've all gotten older, obviously, and some of our mindsets have changed, right? Like back in the day, I used to be like anti-Beatles. It's like, the Beatles are the worst. Like nobody likes the Beatles.
Right. Over
time, I say to them, I've learned to say, I don't hate the Beatles. I just don't listen to them. You know what I mean? How about that? Why don't I say that instead of putting them down and saying, oh, they're the worst. I hate them. How can they be the worst? It's like one of the most popular bands, if not the most popular band ever in history. So it's like, how can you tell me that they're horrible? So it's like, you mean to tell,
right.
You just don't like it.
Right.
It's you just don't like it.
Right.
And it's like, I remember talking to him one time and I was just like, the conversation was going pretty good. And he was like, following along. I'm like, oh, look at this. Maybe Oz has changed a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I saw that movie about the guy who plays all the Beatles songs. And he's just like, oh, how would you want to go see that? And I was like, well, it's a good story. It's like remember that movie Yesterday or something like that? I can't remember the name of it now. I think it was Yesterday. But it's about the Beatles music, and everybody forgets who the Beatles are except for this one guy, and then he uses their music to become popular. And it's like,
it's weird. Okay,
you've never seen. It's a pretty good movie.
No.
It's a good idea. It's a pretty funny premise. It's called Yesterday. I want to say it's called Yesterday, but it's probably not. It's probably called something else.
Right.
And I can't remember it. But and I'm like talking to him because Oz loves movies.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I went and saw a movie, Oz. Let me tell you about this great movie I saw. He goes, that's that Beatles movie. Fuck that. Screw that. Who wants to see that? And I'm just like, yeah. I go, I'm not, the biggest Beatles fan, but it was a good movie for being a movie. And he's like, I don't even want to see it.
That's
it's
right.
Just like
that's what I mean. Yeah.
That's what you're talking about. Where he's just like, he goes, nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I won't do that.
Becomes an impenetrable barrier. After a while, you're just like, fuck it, man.
Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, so you haven't changed. You're just still the same. Got it. Okay. Yeah.
I had kind of a stupid, funny story. I had, I didn't have a fight or anything with my girlfriend, but I had like this, kind of a,
serious discussion.
Well, no, I mean, sort of. What happened was I wanted to talk about like the fact that we have to work out, basically seeing each other more, right? Because we have this problem with hours. Basically, she gets up at like 4 a.m. and goes to bed at 7, and I get up at like 9 and go to bed at God knows what hour, and so when we're trying to do things, it's difficult. But I work, and she doesn't have to, and so she needs to be a little bit more flexible. But anyway. So I'm like, she kind of, I'm explaining the situation to her, and I'm just like, listen, we gotta, we're driving, right? And I'm like, we gotta to figure this thing out, etc. And she's like, Kevin, she's like, you got to stink about you. I can't talk to you. you got a stink. It must be coming from inside you. I don't know if you got a rotten tooth or there's something like dying inside of you. But you got, yes. I'm like trying to smell myself. I'm like, I don't smell weird. My shirt doesn't smell. And she's like, I don't know what it is. She's like, she rolls all the windows down. She's like, but you got a stink. And you know what it was? I had, in the morning before I met up with her, I had eaten the leftover Marco's pizza with the garlic crust.
Mm-hmm.
And that stuff is strong.
Potent.
Yeah. And it's an oil and it kind of leaks out of you. And it was just really strong. I just found it funny because I'm trying to have this serious conversation.
You're right.
And I can't have it because fucking Marco's fucking fucked me over. Yeah. Whatever. We worked it out eventually, but, yeah. It's just funny to me. I don't get called that very often where people are like, it's not the like Ira Leach or something. It's like people got the dragon going on or something. It's like, nope. But hey, I still haven't been watching. I haven't watched Andor in weeks.
Nope.
She-Hulk ending.
Oh, we never even talked about it. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, because you know what? I had watched it, and I didn't even realize I watched it because I tuned out while I was watching it. That was my problem with the show most of the time anyway, because I went back after you told me not to, and I was like, well, let me see if I, will watch it. And then I noticed that I had already watched it. And I was like, I mean, it was on, and I was there, but I don't recall it. So, oh well. I didn't care.
You're really not missing anything.
Yeah. And then Wakanda Forever will probably be on in a week because I don't think anybody's going to see that in the theater.
No, people are totally going to go see that. Are you kidding me?
What do you think about Avatar 2? Do you give a shit about Avatar 2?
I didn't even see the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, listen. When people tell me to go see something, I don't do it. I'm not gonna just because you know what I mean. Like,
well, you're not missing anything. Look, it's fine. You didn't, but I mean, like, I would just have figured, like, if you were at home and it was on, you might have just popped it on or something at this point. Because I mean, it's been 12 fucking years or something since that shit's been out. Like,
no,
I figured you would have watched it. I mean, it's okay. Like, I'm just like people will complain about different aspects of it, but James Cameron. He knows how to make a movie. I mean, the guy's been making, like, he knows how to put a movie together. Like, he's got some of the best movies ever made. And, he did introduce the 3D, which I think was the gimmick for the film. People wanted to see this new 3D, so they went to see there. Yeah. And I think that was more of the draw and the moneymaker for that than the film itself, because it felt a little bit like, it felt a little by the numbers, right? Like, there's a planet, right? With, like, these blue people or whatever on it. And humans can't exist there. So you have to go into kind of like almost like a virtual reality thing. And then you can kind of go there by, like, I can't quite remember because it's been 12 fucking years. I don't watch movies twice most of the time. So, but he beams himself there so he can control the body that he has there. And Sigourney Weaver's, like, also doing that. And I don't know if there's a couple of other people, but eventually, the military invades and there's a battle between, like, the military and the jungle people and that kind of thing. And it's all sort of like, you kind of know where it's going. You know where it's going from the beginning. This is a real elementary story, and it's got some nice scenery and stuff, and it's directed well. But you're also just like, like the story's like, it's not groundbreaking or anything. So it's like, it's weird, that there's going to be 3 more movies, and right. At least, I guess, and the one that's coming out now, right? But the one that's coming out after it is actually done as well. Like, it's done. Like, they have it.
They did them both.
Right. And the third one, I don't know if it's what level of production it's in, but it's, and so it's like, they better hope people go see this one, because like if they've already got the other one going and they're making a third one, like they've really they're like, whoa, James Cameron, like, woo, the people are going to come, and it's like kids will come, I guess, if it's PG, but I don't know if I'm going to go see it, because I mean, I don't really care.
Like when MCU did like Infinity War and Endgame, and they were like, well, we pretty much filmed these both, simultaneously, kind of, or something like that. It's like, or film them all at once, and it's like that is going to do well. You know what I mean? It's like, well, of course, you're taking one story that everybody wants to know what's going to happen, and you're splitting it in two. Of course, they're going to want to see the first one and the second one. So it's like that was where with this, it's like you said, it's been 12 years. Right? It's been 12 years since the first one.
Right. It's ridiculous.
So like all these kids now who never even saw that movie are going to be like, what is it? And
right.
It's Avatar 2. And they're just going to be like, is that in black and white? Or is that...
right. It's going to seem cheesy as hell. Speaking of Infinity War and Endgame, like Infinity War was great. Like it was great. It was just great movie. And I think that one of the reasons why it worked is because whenever they showed the different teams getting involved and, people, heroes, whatever you want to say, they all had kind of a purpose, right? Like they were all purposely there. You start off with Thor in them fighting on the spaceship, and then, you get them down on the planet. They're trying to get the other stones and stuff. So they're in different parts of Earth. They're fighting Doctor Strange there. They're fighting, the
Hulk shows up.
Right. And doesn't want to be the Hulk. Scarlet Witch and Vision and, on the other side of the planet or wherever the hell they were. And,
Scotland.
Yeah, Scotland. Okay. And, but my point being is that every time they kind of went to somebody, they kind of had a purpose, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. So it all kind of worked in the storyline and they were really there. Where like Endgame, like they were like, we got to put everybody in it because it's the end. So let's just, let's get everybody in at the end of the movie, and they're all going to come to help fight a bunch of like non-threatening looking aliens and things, because nobody cared about any of those thing. You wanted to see Thanos fight, that was cool, but the rest of them all those things didn't have any personality, and so it's like, and those fights are so silly too, because you think about it and you're like, every hero survived, right?
Yeah.
Except for,
well, but every hero survived the fight.
That's what I mean. Right. And it's kind of like big useless army that Thanos had, they couldn't take down anybody. Like, just take down one of them or something. No, everybody survived. Like, come on. It's just,
you tell me the Black Widow and Hawkeye are running around here.
It's just, there's a freaking army of fucking monsters that you have.
Ant-Man.
None of them.
Dude in a suit.
Right.
he like Ant-Man couldn't accidentally got squashed or something. Right, you know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, I'm shrunk down. Nobody will squash. Oh, I got stepped on.
I mean, it's just like when they're running and passing like the thing, like a football between different guys and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, it just elevated to a, like, it's just Saturday morning cartoon or something. It was,
even George Lucas killed an Ewok.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Right. Like, I mean, it's just, it just was non-threatening. And and you never believed for a minute that anybody was going to, you know what I mean? That was going to, that army just, you didn't care. You're just like, oh, here, there. Oh, okay. Here's everybody.
That's the kind of the army you have to have for the good guys to fight. You know what I mean? That's,
then I think that's
stormtroopers.
I think, and I think that's something that, but listen, in the Marvel universe, I mean, they do kill off some people in the movie. I don't want spoilers, even though we've talked about it before. But for the most part, like, all Marvel's doing is they don't want to lose any of these licenses, so they're not killing off anybody. But Marvel comic books kill people off all the freaking time. Geez, in the mutant universe.
Oh my God. They had a massacre and a fall.
So many. There's so many.
Right?
Yeah, there's so many dead. It's crazy. Then they come up with these really creative ways to bring them back, but yeah. It's
even, you're probably not familiar, but in Captain America, there was a character called Scourge. Skourge. Skourg.
I've heard of him,
like
but
that.
I'm not familiar.
Yeah. And he was a dude that was just going around and killing random bad guys. And it turns out that like Marvel was like, look, we got too many people. There's too many characters that like aren't even being used.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what they did. They were like, okay, we'll just get all the useless people and we'll have this dude kill them. And then we'll put Captain America on the hunt for him.
Right.
And it was just weird because it was like, because you get this issue of Captain America where it's like all these old stupid bad guys like, I'm Turner D Century, and it's like, Turner D Century, what the hell? He's like, I've got an umbrella that shoots lasers. Like, get out of here. Like, who needs this guy? And it's like he shoots him. It's like, yeah, he needed that. But it's like they had this meeting with all these useless old bad guys, and I'm reading this issue like, are you serious? Like, what? Like, did they put a memo out? They were like, all old bad guys. You got to meet here. And then, of course, the dude shows up and he just wipes them all out. It was just great.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, and that's something that the Marvel, like, that's the in the way the problem with Disney owning the property, because like that edginess is just not going to be there all the time, and it's a bit of a bummer. And Star Wars kind of the same way.
Well, that's weird if you think about it, because almost every Disney movie starts with somebody dying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess if it's a meaningful freaking old Yeller kind of death, they'll do it.
Like Frozen, their parents were killed at sea, and they were left abandoned as orphans. It's like, really?
You show it though, or anything, But
Bambi, no, they showed the boat crashing and stuff. It was just like,
that is true. The cartoons can be, the old cartoons especially can be, and it's weird because like we weren't damaged as kids by knowing these things. Like it's.
Cinderella had no parents and was bullied by her stepsisters and her stepmother the whole time, and forced into cleaning all the time and stuff.
Right.
You live in dirt floors. What are you cleaning?
It's true.
It doesn't make sense.
It's like Charlotte's Web. I don't think that was Disney, but that was like, that was kind of a messed up thing because like the spiders.
Animal Farm. No.
Yeah, he dies because the young eats the spider. I don't know. It's just fucked up. But yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I just kind
Marvel.
of
Sorry, I went sideways there.
I'm kind of watching old Star Trek right now because I'm kind of just in a lull with like new TV shows. There's some show on Amazon called Peripheral that somebody told me to watch. It's okay. I'm kind of watching it, but like just like I don't know. I just can't get my mind around too many shows because most of the storylines are the same storylines I've seen in other things, just reconstituted into a different show, people, timing, event, whatever. But it's all going to end the same way. So it's like, there's the Lost effect, which is kind of like what Peripheral sort of is, where it's like, hey, there's a mystery going on. Can you figure it out? Well, you probably won't because we're going to make shit up as we go. But there's a mystery going on. And so, you have like a ton of those shows, that come out all the time. And then you have more of the private eye type show or whatever you want to call it, the cop show or the buddy cop show, where they kind of, lots of shows where they're in the interrogation room. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever you want to call it. Wherever
behind that mirror.
Yeah, the people behind the mirror and they're sitting at the table with the guy and they're trying to break him. And then they break him and then he just admits to what he's doing, or they get the evidence and they're like, they walk out of the room and they're like, you got to get me that file. We're going to hold him here. We're going to hold him, but you got to get me that file. And they run out to get the file. And then they get the file. He did it. We got the file. And it's like, we got you now. And it's like every episode, like it's some combination of that shit.
Yeah.
And it's like,
you gotta hurry up and get me something to arrest this guy on. I'm holding him illegally.
Right. Yes. Right. Like, can you do something to keep him a little longer? Like every fucking show.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying every show.
That show, I don't know if I mentioned it to you or whatever past week or 2 or 3 weeks or whatever. There's a new show on CBS called Ghosts.
Oh, I think you did mention that to me. Yeah.
It's just a sitcom. It's just a dumb sitcom.
Right.
So it's like, you know what I mean? I tell people, I'm like, I started watching the show Ghosts, and it makes me laugh. There's parts of it that I actually laughed out loud because there's some of the jokes are pretty funny.
Right.
But it's the same, like you said, it's the same premise as every other sitcom. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where it's like, okay, well, I know what's going to happen in this episode, or I know what's going to happen in this episode. But the way that's written and stuff, it kind of is. It's kind of interesting, and that's what I've done. That's what I've relegated myself to. I was just like, you know what? I know it's a dumb sitcom, and I know there's no relevance to it, and I'm not going to learn. It's just dumb humor, and that's what I want to watch.
The thing
that's where I'm at.
The thing about, I don't mind some sitcoms, like say Seinfeld, right? I don't mind Seinfeld, like, and sometimes shows will have catchphrases, and like Seinfeld might have something where Newman's at the door, and Jerry would be like, "Hello, Newman,"
Right? Soup Nazi, all
that. But it wasn't every episode, right? But back in the day, man, like, what you talking about, Willis?
I was just gonna say, what you talk about, Kevin?
Dynamite, or any, like Urkel. He had one. I didn't even watch that show.
Oh, did I do that?
Right, like they had to use that on every episode to to please the audience, and it's just like, does it? Does it? Because I'm like, if you've seen that 10 times and you're like, oh, that Urkel, he cracks me up. It's like, does he? Like, really? Yeah. That's like the 10th time you've seen that shit? Like,
I'll tell you what, when Gary Coleman turns his head and looks at you through the side eye and says, "What you talking about, Willis?" That just gets me every time. I just can't get enough of it.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
It becomes like the whole show gets built up to a point where you're just waiting for it to happen, I think, and that gets to be kind of a drag.
But then that's the thing is, though, now you see like the TV shows where they make fun of the old sitcoms. Yeah. And that's what they do. You know what I mean? They talk about, oh, this is like, I don't know, some show will be on and they'll be like, this is so-and-so. He was a child actor back in the 80s. And they'll be like, oh, what's his catchphrase? And it'd be like,
Right.
Oh, I ripped my pants. It's like, the kid was always ripping his pants during the show.
I think part of it is just that TV shows in general on normal TV, because of commercials, have got to sort of fit everything into that 12 minutes, or I don't even think it's that long. Probably 8 minutes of TV, and they have a little bit of plot, but then they have to kind of build towards like a cliffhanger to hold you until after the commercials, and then come out of it, and it's sort of like so like, they're using the same tropes over and over again in order to, because they have to figure out how to hold you there for that amount of time,
Yeah.
So it's like, and then you get the lazy shows that we always talk about, like Oak Island, where they're just like, coming up next on Oak Island. They don't even try to hold you there with the mystery. They're just like, here's what's going to come, so you don't miss it, and you have to like watch like 2 minutes. It's like, I don't want to watch the preview. Just cut through the commercials and get me back to the show, And you get back to the show, and it's a couple of guys standing around looking at a hole in the ground.
It's just for your information. It starts back up next week. So.
It's the best. It's the best, man.
That show especially, because they'll pull up something and the guys will be looking through it. They'll be like, "Oh my God, look at that!" And it cuts to commercial. And you're just like, "Come on!" Like you said, and then they come back and it's like, "I found a nail." I think this is a framing nail. I think this was used in 1200 AD, or it's just like. It's like you guys got excited about that.
I don't even believe they're finding it. I think it's getting staged at this point. I really do think that they're geniuses. First of all, they've made an entire show. The budget has got to be super cheap, because they've made an entire show out of guys looking into the ground for something that they all know isn't there right now. They just know it's not there. They've dug with all kinds of things and haven't found shit. There's nobody, like, they have all this equipment, and we're supposed to believe that somebody had treasure, gold. You know how fucking heavy gold is? And they fucking decided to carry it underground, like, not like 20 feet underground, like hundreds of feet underground to put it in some kind of storage area. What the fuck for? Like, it makes no sense. Like, no logical sense. And then built booby traps all around it to flood it out.
These guys have, like, top of the line hydraulic drilling apparatuses that can drill hundreds of feet into the ground.
Yep. Sensors.
And they can't find anything that was buried by people who use stones.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're like, I got a stick with a stone tied to it.
Because there's nothing fucking there. They could have found John Gotti's body by now, man, with everything they've used on that thing. It's crazy how much they've used. Ground penetrating radar, and
they've done all that.
All of it. Everything.
They're like, they're like, okay, so we did a whole thing of the whole island, and we got a sonogram of what the island looks like and the depths and everything. It looks like you got a big cavern right here at about 90 feet down. They're like, drill it. And they drill it, and it goes 90 feet down, and there's nothing.
Yep. Nothing.
And they're just like, I pulled up a piece of wood.
And then, but then what they do is they're like, well, now we're thinking we got to go to the other hole.
Now we got to go over here.
Like, there's a hole on this part. We didn't find anything in that hole, but we're gonna go to this hole over here, or we're gonna block off the whole. Like, they blocked off the water of the shore and like built a dam so they could dig out.
Well, they found that wharf or whatever.
Yeah, they did.
That's kind of cool.
Sure, but it's not
the
treasure.
Stone path.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's some ancient history there.
There's some history. I mean, it's it's not treasure,
but it's like, it's the idea behind the curse of the Oak Island bullshit. It's just madness at this point. There's no freaking treasure on that island. It's like, good lord, dude, did you play the Powerball?
Oddly enough, I did.
Oh, you could have.
Not me though. No, the lady at work came up to me. She's like, we're sending the kid to go get Powerball tickets. Do you want in? And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, oh, I could throw $2 in or whatever. She goes, it's $6 a piece. And I just stopped and looked at her. I was like, $6 is a weird number.
But you got to do it because, like, if they won.
And that's the other thing. I walked away. I was like, I don't know. Let me think about it. And I walked away and I was just like, dude, if all these assholes come back in here and they won that, and I'm the idiot that's still got to come back to work,
right?
Because I decided I didn't want to give them $6.
Yes, I've been in that boat. Yep, 100%.
The worst.
I mean, I probably would have played if I would have thought about it and went to the store, but I just didn't. So it's all right.
Yeah, I never thought about it when I, it was always after the fact.
I mean, basically, you would be a billionaire because even with the taxes taking out half of that, whatever, there's enough there now that you would literally be a billionaire off the fucking lottery. That's crazy.
We got this kid at work. It's not a kid. He's probably 30-something. Kid to me. And I go, because the ladies told me about it, so I go walking in the back. I said, hey, they're collecting for the Powerball. They want, $6 a piece from everybody. If you want in, it's $6. And he's like, oh. He's like, what is it, the lottery thing? And I go, yeah, it's Powerball. He goes, yeah, but really, how high is that anyways? And I just stopped and looked at him. I go, I don't know. Last I heard, it was like 1.2 billion. He just stopped and went, oh, that's a lot. And I was like, yeah, 1.2 billion. I go, and it's probably higher than that by now. So
it's getting closer to 2 billion, I think, at this point.
Nice.
Buying tickets. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm never going to win this.
I mean, the odds are so incredible. And
yeah, that's.
The part of it is that sometimes I just think that, like, there's a part of me too that just thinks it's fixed. So you already have horrible odds, and then it's like, it's like, I don't know, like it.
Dude, I can't pick the right way to go on a street. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I did the other day. I was like, oh, I went right instead of left when I was going downtown to go to Hatebreed. I was like, oh, I went the wrong way.
Yeah.
I
play some of the lottery games, but I play like the lesser payout ones because, like, I'm to an age right now where if I can win like $500,000, like might not have to work anymore. You know what I mean? Sure. Like it might carry me to retirement or something. So it's kind of like, and your odds are better to win the smaller prize than there are the bigger prize. So it's kind of like I don't necessarily need to play the Powerball. I got better odds playing, like, say, the regular lotto. You know? And but I still don't win, obviously. So I don't know, Powerball, whatever. All right, we're over. Thanks everybody for listening to the show. We really appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with more. Maybe we'll talk about Thanksgiving and all that. What's going to happen, and
the gobbledygooker
stuff like that. What does Don do during Thanksgiving? We'll find out next week. Tune in, folks.
He was going to tell you peace.
I can't even stop this. I don't know where the mouse is.
Stop it.
You've been listening to Oblast with Don and Kevin. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to oblast@vgn.us. That is VGN as in video game news. And be sure to check out our Patreon page, which is at patreon.com/VGN, where you can get all of our shows, our videos, and some musings. Be sure to tune in each week for new episodes on our Patreon page or every other week on the public RSS feed that you're subscribed to now. Thanks for listening, and good night.
Peace.